Oh, we are live. We are live. Don't mind me, folks. We're just making sure everything looks good. We know how this works. You guys have been around. Just making sure everything looks good. We know how this works. All righty. Ooh, baby. All righty. I think enough time has passed. Welcome to Missouri Tigers Live. My name is Zach Ramilius. I am here, as always, in my apartment to talk about Mizzou Tigers football. We're also going to touch on basketball, and we're going to touch on, we're going to give some props to the baseball team too. So sit down, welcome in, have a little snack. We're going to be here for a little bit. That's the wrong remote. Let me mute the conference title games because it's a little loud. Oh, my head. Anyway, all righty. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, Missouri. I am Zach Ramilius here. You can follow me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. Again, I want to thank Mark. Please subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Mark does an unbelievable job of, coast to coast, covering this sport that he loves. I love everyone everyone that's here. Loves this silly sport that I know there's that stuff going on in Congress right now. I'm kind of the opinion that when something comes of it, we'll talk about it. I am going to post the link to the website in our comment section. Guys, hit the thing. Take a look at it. I remember when I started at this network before the 2021 season, it was Bryce Young's first year as a starter at Alabama. It's been a while. And I just remember, it was still a lot of fun, still great, but how far this place has come. And now if you go to the website, you can go to our shop. You can see our shows, who hosts what shows we have, and what times. They still got to fix my show doesn't go on it. Doesn't go out at 6, but you can see who hosts the different shows: the Georgia, Auburn, Notre Dame, Michigan, Alabama. We have an SEC show. We have a couple of Alabama people. We got Missouri, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M. We've got people Michigan, Tennessee. You name it, we got it. And if there is a school that you want to talk about, talk to Mark, and I'm sure he can figure something out for you. But subscribe to Mark at the Voice of College Football. And then, guys, most of all, like and subscribe. I need to do a better job promoting. We're going to do a better job promoting as this summer rolls around and we get more into closer to the season time. We still got a few weeks for it's even time to start doing previews. We'll do 12 weeks of previews like we did last year. That's 3 months, but that takes us to May. So we still got a couple months. And I might move in that time. So we'll see how everything goes. But we are first and heremost to talk about Missouri Tigers football. And that's why we're going to talk about spring practice. The practice is underway. Look, I'm not going to pretend that a lot comes out of spring practices around this time of year. You mostly have to go to different websites to see different interviews. But what I've gotten out of a lot of the stuff you see on Power Mizzou, Rock M Nation, a lot of these Mizzou websites is they know the pass rush has got to be a thing this year. They did Cody Goodwin over at Power Mizzou did a wonderful article with Marquise talking about the pass rush and Mizzou's pass rush. It was among the best in 2025. By Pro Football Focus, again, not the end-all be-all of all of this, but they were first in the SEC of pass rush grade. They recorded 259 pressures, fourth most in the SEC behind Ole Miss, Texas, and Oklahoma. Part of the reason they were so low on that list is because they played at such a snail's pace offensively. And in a lot of these games, they held the time possession marker like crazy, like the Kansas game. They've generated 19.9 pressures per game, which was the third best rate in the SEC. So out of those 259 pressures that Mizzou had, they only returned 60. Darius Smith had 30. Another 14 came from Langdon Kitchen. They're all gone. So there was a wonderful article. I'm not, Power Mizzou is a paid service, so I'm not trying to read verbatim what they got. But how good is the pass rush going to be? You have Smith, Kitchen, Gracefield, Jalen Marshall. You got Dayton Hopkins, Dante Simpson, Jaden Jones, Malik Bryant, Sam Williams, Jason Dowell, CJ May that are going to get shot. Mizzou does have a history of guys jumping up and being able to provide more pressure. Zion Young from 24 to 25. I didn't know he could rush the passer in 2024. I thought he was more of a run-stopping D end, and that showed not to be the case. He was great last year. Obviously, parlayed it potentially into being a first-round pick. There's the guys throughout the history of this Mizzou football program since Eli's gotten here that have showed that, hey, they can do this, and they can lead a pass rush room. They need to show us that they can. I mean, we've seen with Eli, Christian Williams, Chris McClellan, guys take huge leaps. A lot of the times, those were just welcome as some idiot drives down my street. A lot of times, those guys were just bonuses. And that's not the case this year. Like, these guys have to perform if Mizzou's going to have a competent pass rush and win football games. Of games, maybe the offense isn't. I apologize for yawning so much. Holy cow. I got to send the tweet. Another big news thing, Nick Rodriguez is a spring captain. He's going to wear number 5. Not, the craziest, like, oh my goodness, Nick Rodriguez is switching numbers, but he is a captain, and that should be kind of the set. He's going to take over from Zion and kind of the energy standpoint, and then he talked about the linebacker room, and he says you're going to see a lot of depth, a lot of talent there. And yeah, I mean, it just is. I mean, then there has to be. I think that I've talked about it a bunch. I think the linebacking room at Mizzou next year is going to be pretty dang good. There's not a lot of recruiting stuff. I mean, Mizzou did get a couple commits. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Speaking of Marquise, there was a video that dropped of him working out and practicing. He looks like he's slimmed down. He looks like he's primed for a big year. We're not going to know until Kansas next year who's ready to make the leap. But he's really slimmed down and he looks great. So you got to be excited for that. Corey Batum gave another great quote, and this was all over the place, that, look, defensively this year, this team is starting from ground zero. Like, they've lost so much. We just went over what they lost in the D-end room. They're losing all their corners, lost most of their safety production. They bring back Nick Rodriguez, and that's about it. So when it comes to, like, they're starting from nothing defensively. They have to build a defense, and we'll kind of see what happens there. It's going to be hard to really preview this team. I think if you're trying to kind of project this team, and I know people are, we're getting into that point of the year. It's March, spring practices, but it's going to be impossible to really project this team because we have no idea. They have a new starting quarterback, a bunch of new receivers, a bunch of new linemen on both sides of the ball, a whole new defense. Like, this thing could swing pretty violently in one way or the other. This could be a 5-7 team. This could be a 9-3, 10-2 team. We just won't know, and we've got some time before we figure it out. But all we've got right now are freaking spring practices, which aren't the most amazing thing ever. They aren't going to play a spring game. A lot of this is close to the media. Again, a lot of these updates are courtesy of Power Mizzou and Rock M Nation. There's a few guys that have bulked up. Jeremiah Beasley is now listed as 6'6", 237. He looks the part. There's a lot of talk from the coaches and from the play that Jade McGregory, a safety, a freshman, definitely looks like he could play his first year on campus. A lot of this stuff, but like a lot of the things that guys they're talking about with guys, that all you can talk about is their size, their build, their strength, like how they look, on the field. It's hard to really quantify anything. And again, I'm not just going to read Power Mizzou verbatim. That's not what I'm here to do. But this is going to be a hard team to read until that Kansas game. And even after the Kansas game, look, the Kansas game this year, we were like, oh my God, we have a passing attack. Norfleet looks awesome. Alubade looks awesome. Kevin Coleman's always been good. And then it just completely fell apart because the team didn't have a passing game. And Kirby did not have a great plan. Bo was not a good quarterback. So it's going to take even longer than that game to really figure out what Mizzou has at all these positions. All we can talk about now is like how guys look, who's starting where. And we're not going to have a lot of news about that, again, because Eli doesn't do spring games, which is fine. Most programs don't do spring games. Florida State just canceled their spring game. I'm not too worried about spring games and like what they mean. Do want to say congratulations to Ahmad Hardy. He had a kid. You give that guy dad strength? Dear God, good luck, SEC. That's actually crazy that he came back, or that he had a kid, and that's a good luck. Prime for another big year in the Mizzou offensive line room. Let's go ahead and, like I said, we'll talk about spring practice. If there's anything worth talking about, a lot of it that you see online is just like, oh my God, Jaden Blair looks huge. Jade McGregory is getting real reps. Like, that's not news. It's just hard for me personally to really talk about that stuff. It's not that I don't care. It's just hard to. I'm not out there getting the footage. I'm not, and Power Mizzou's a pay-for website. It's behind a paywall. I'm not just trying to take everything they write and all the hard work they put in and give it to you guys. That's not what I'm about. I can see tweets, I can see things, and that's kind of what I've talked about. Like, but I'm not gonna like read their articles verbatim. That's just not fair to them, and it's not fair to you guys. So, but spring practices are going. We know Austin Simmons is gonna be the starter quarterback. And we're seeing a lot of good things at practice, and we're seeing guys that I've definitely bulked up, but that always happens. So let's actually get into some real news, which is recruiting. Mizzou's 3-star Luol committed to the Tigers. He's 6'5", 300 pounds, offensive tackle. He is the 40th rated offensive tackle in the country. Mizzou beats out Louisville, beats out Virginia Tech, Pitt, Kentucky, Nebraska, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Florida were on his offer list. He is the third commit for 2027. Jabari Lofton, a safety, another 3-star, and then of course Braylon Warren, the quarterback, are the other 2 commits. No 4 stars, just a couple 3 stars so far for the Tigers. But it's always nice to get a commit. And when you're Mizzou at this point, it's not a bad thing to become a developmental program. Some other guys that Mizzou is currently talking to or trying to get a good look at is Raheem Floyd. Floyd is a top 150. He's 151th based on 247 from East St. Louis. Currently does not have a scheduled visit with Missouri. He's got scheduled visits with Indiana, which who can blame him. Wisconsin, Tennessee, Nebraska are the other schools on his radar, according to this article. Yeah, I mean, Mizzou needs to do a better job of getting elite talent onto their campus. Yeah, they may transfer out. That's okay. It happens. But you need to have those guys available and to fill roles. So you're not having to do potentially like this year where you're just kind of shooting it against the wall. The other big name from East St. Louis is Myson Johnson Cook. He is a running back. He's the number 74 player nationally, according to 247. Class 27, East St. Louis. He did not visit Missouri this weekend, it looks like. This is a race Mizzou is trying to enter. He currently has visits set with Miami, Ole Miss, and Auburn. He's probably going to go back. It's been said he's going to go back to Miami. This definitely feels like Miami's the leader. It's going to be tough for Mizzou to overcome, the Hurricanes. That's just not a school I expect Mizzou to out-recruit, even for more local guys. He's a big boy, 6'2", 235 pounds. That is a hoss of a running back, people. So we'll keep an eye out. Marshawn Ivy is a linebacker. He's going to visit Mizzou in May. Arizona State and Miami are also going to look. He's 6'3", 215 linebacker. Kieran Govan, he was there over the weekend. He also has a visit set with Iowa State, 3-star safety, number 7 prospect in Missouri. I've already said, he committed Jameer Henry is a defensive lineman. Mizzou did make his top 5 with USC, Illinois, Michigan State, and Ole Miss. He's going to come on campus. Jordan Holman was on campus, another safety. They are really hitting safety hard. Caleb Elkins, another safety. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Oregon, and Indiana's other visits. Antoine Jackson is a defensive end. Brian Early, I know, has tweeted about him before. He's out of the Memphis area. He's got visits set with Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Florida, and Mississippi State. Amia Umbadi, he's a Minnesota native, another defensive lineman, 6'2", 275 pounds. He's going to make an official visit to Mizzou over the summer, along with Michigan State and Minnesota. That's a group you need to – if they really want this kid, that's a group you need to out-recruit. Blake Benton, a linebacker from Minnesota. They're hitting Minnesota hard. He's got an official with Penn State, and apparently that's the team that has a lot of momentum there. Caden Green's younger brother, Caleb Green, is on campus. He's an athlete, not really highly thought of, but that's okay. Some other names: Brandon Sherrod, a top 200 player, class of 2027 corner out of Texas. He's trying to set up a visit to Missouri. This is just a lot of there's just a lot of 3 stars, a lot of guys coming in that you don't expect to play right away, but Mizzou needs to become kind of a developmental program. You need guys to stay until their junior year to ready to take up spots, and if they leave, then that's when you have the portal. We'll see what happens there, but that's kind of what I wanted to get to with recruiting. Eli normally does a good job recruiting, so I'm a little shocked about last year's status. I think that the transfer portal exodus has kind of rocked him a little bit. But we'll see. I think Eli does a magnificent job recruiting in the portal. This year will kind of be his magnum opus if Mizzou has a good defense this year, because they just lost so freaking much. Again, you're listening to the Voice of College Football. This is the Voice of College Football Missouri Tigers Live. I am here every Monday. We just went over some spring practice updates, some recruiting, and now we're going to go around the zoo. We're just going to talk a little bit about some other Mizzou sports that are in season. We'll start with the ones not doing so great, which is what used to be the pride and joy of Mizzou athletics, and that is Mizzou softball. They are 7-15, 0-2 in conference, and Larissa Anderson probably going to be getting rid of. They are just struggling big time. But what I want to give props to, this is a program that I've crapped on a lot. A lot of people have. For a long time, and I still believe this, a hot 20-ish games isn't going to make me change my mind on this, about them just kind of needing maybe to abolish the program. But we got to give a lot of credit to Carrick Jackson and Missouri Tigers baseball. They're 14-2. They've won, 12 in a row? Yeah, 12 in a row after losing a game to Florida Atlantic, and they lost a game to Mount St. Mary's. So they're not completely impervious to stupid losses. But we've seen LSU lose dumb games. The North Dakota State team that Mizzou swept beat Vanderbilt. It's baseball, man. Losses happen, wins happen. And this program, who has been just in the gutter for 20 years, has really come along. And now we'll see. They got Southern Indiana tomorrow. And then they got Auburn, who's ranked number 6 in the country, according to MUTigers.com. We'll see, man. If you can win a series against Auburn, then you're going to be in good shape. The Tigers are led by Tyler Macon, not the former quarterback. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Kirkwood, Missouri. Tyler with a 1.254 OPS. He has 2 triples, 7 doubles out of his 30. So 9 extra base hits out of his 30. He's a 672 slugging percentage. He's raking, and he's stolen 6 bases out of 7 attempts. His on base is at 582. The power is coming from Jay Swoda and Cameron Benson. They have 4 and 3 home runs comparatively. What is going to be nerve-wracking for this team is, as we do get into SEC play, they don't have a thumper in the middle of their lineup. And it's like professionals, man. You got to have the ability to score 3 runs on one swing. But we'll see there. That's a team built on speed, man. They're 28-34 in the on the base pass and stealing. Now, on the pitching side, this is where the obvious improvement has come. Last year, this freaking team had an ERA close to 10. Now, again, we have to wait and see what happens in SEC play. But Josh McDevitt, 2.37 ERA. He is 3-0 in 4 starts. Brady Kellenbrink, 3-0 in 4 starts with a 4.29. Pimental, 4 starts. He's 2-0 with a 4.76. That is not too shabby this time of year. The issue is Ian Loesch is your closer. He is a 3.86. He has a bad tendency to walk guys. He has 6 walks in 7 innings, including he walked the bases loaded the other night, which isn't great. McDevitt in 4 starts has gone 19 innings. That's fine. Save him for SEC play. But this is a program that for so long, and again, they haven't played anybody, but this is a program for so long that can't even win games it should win. I mean, last year they were losing games and I know they lost a game to Mount St. Mary's. They're losing games to Stetson. They were losing games to just all these horrible teams. And this year they do have 2 bad losses. They lost to FAU and they lost 1 game to Mount St. Mary's. But other than that, took care of North Dakota State, took care of UIC, took care of a lot of these programs. And that has to be congratulated. That has to be a positive for Carrick Jackson as this program tries to gain any sort of freaking footing in the best conference in the sport. You just you can't suck. And this program has been embarrassing for a long stretch of time, and I wouldn't quantify them as embarrassing right now, which is good. You have to be a little happy about that. So that's what I want to touch on Mizzou baseball. They have a big series this weekend, so Monday we'll kind of get back to it. Of course, the big news on Mizzou's campus right now is, of course, Missouri Tiger basketball. Last week when we talked about Mizzou, there was a lot of optimism. They had a big week coming up, 2 big games against rivals. They had just won at Mississippi State. They'd beaten Vanderbilt in recent days. They beat Tennessee. Made a competitive effort at Arkansas. BWA, a hard place to play. And then they laid an absolute egg. They go to Oklahoma. They did the same thing as they did last year, where they beat Oklahoma at home. Now, last year they killed OU, and that's made last year's trip to Norman so much worse. This year, they got lucky to beat OU at home. They hit a couple buzzer beaters. I'll grant that. But you lost. They didn't even show up in Norman. They just didn't show up. It was an embarrassing effort. And then you come home to play Arkansas senior day for Mark Mitchell, Jacob Cruz, Sean Phillips, all these guys. And again, you get dropped. It's inexcusable for like what you were playing for. People got mad at me because I'm like, I went on and on, but I'm like, no, it's inexcusable to lose that game. Arkansas did not have Darius Acuff, who's going to be a top half of the first round pick. He's a lottery pick. He's a really good player. You lose him and you have them at home, and Mark Mitchell gives you 32 and you get dropped. Malik Thomas goes please. You give up 17 to Malik Ewan, who's not good. DJ Wagner's kept in check. Billy Richmond's kept in check. But Trayvon Brazile, Malik Thomas, and Malik Ewan just kill you. I thought Sean Phillips, who I've been really hard on, had an okay game. He had 13 and 10, did give up a big offensive rebound at the end. And always a candidate for a really stupid foul, but I thought he played okay. T.O. Barrett. Look, man, when it comes to T.O. Barrett, I don't have a problem with T.O. Barrett, but either I need to see something over the next 2 to 3 games that this team plays where he can't be the starting point guard next year. He just can't. His turnover rate is too – like he averages 2 turnovers and 3 assists. It's just not – his turnover rate – where'd it go? Is 20%. That's just not good enough. I thought Ant played okay. He didn't shoot the ball well. He was only 1 for 4 from the field, but he had 5 assists, and he didn't turn the ball over. Had a steal. Cruz has just been non-existent. They got nothing from Trent Burns. He only played 5 minutes. Sean Phillips played 36 minutes, which is crazy to me. Part of that is they played small a lot, but what has made Sean Phillips more effective, I thought, was Trent Burns coming in and playing 10 to 15 minutes and making Sean Phillips a 20-minute-a-game player, not 24 to 25, 26. And he could play kind of more within himself. I thought Sean played okay Saturday. I'm not putting that game on Sean. That game falls on a variety of reasons. He wasn't the only one that didn't box out. And the game did go to overtime. So he played 36 of 45. Like, he didn't play 36 of 40. But, yeah, Mark Mitchell was a godsend. Jaden Stone continues his shooting struggles. He's 4 for 7 from the field, but he only had 11 points. He wasn't getting to the free throw line. Yeah, Mizzou went from I was pretty confident they were going to make it, as Furman takes a big lead on East Tennessee. And on bracket matrix, they still are a 10 seed, like a consensus 10 seed. They're going to play Kentucky on Thursday, and that's going to be an interesting game. I don't think a loss to Kentucky knocks them out of the tournament, but I do think a loss can – sorry, my arm's crazy itchy. I'm not trying to show off what isn't there. Yeah, nothing there. I think if they lose to Kentucky, I don't know if they'll get left out, but I think there's a chance that you're in Dayton. And that's not where you want to be in year 3 of year 4 of your head coach. Especially when a week and a half ago we were like, could they get to a 7? Like, you have to beat a bad OU team, you have to beat Arkansas, and then maybe win an SEC tournament game. You'd get a double bye, and that's what makes Saturday all the more inexcusable. Like, you had a chance to get 11-7 in conference. With Tennessee got dropped by Vanderbilt, you were going to be the 4 seed in the SEC tournament. You were going to get then an advantageous first round game, and now you're or quarterfinal game, and now you're stuck, and you're now the 8 seed. You're going to play on Thursday against probably Kentucky, which great. It's weird that how much further ahead of program than Arkansas is, and Arkansas is just a better basketball program. It is. Like, Mizzou football is a better program than Arkansas football. But Arkansas, without their best player, was able to come into your building and just kind of beat you around. I mean, Mizzou did not rebound well again. 10 offensive rebounds for the Tigers, 13 for Arkansas. The bigger issue, 13 turnovers to 11 assists. Headlined by Sean Phillips is 4 turnovers because I don't think he played bad on Saturday. I've gone back and watched the guys. I was driving to Evansville to watch my school, Western Illinois, make the women's NCAA tournament, but 4 turnovers is ridiculous. T.O. Barrett, if he's going to have these turnover issues, he's not going to be the starting point guard next year. He just can't be. There's too much on the line next year to put the ball at 50% of your possessions, put the ball in the hands of somebody who can't keep it. And now, you know how crazy how things sway. I do think you need a starting big. I thought Trent Burns can maybe provide you starting big momentum, but obviously that's not going to be the case. So it's just not. You need a starting big. You're going to need a couple wings. You're going to probably need another guard because I don't see how Ant stay. If Ant does stay, it solves some of these issues because you're going to have Ant, you're going to have T.O., you'll have Crow in your backcourt. You need a couple wings to go with Trent Pierce, and you need another big to go with Bryant Burns, but I don't think Ant's going to stay. So, I mean, how many minutes did Ant play on Saturday? Ant played 33. He played a lot. He played more than T.O. did. Well, he's playing better. He didn't turn the ball over and had a steal. And like that final turnover from T.O. in overtime is just inexcusable. 40 feet away from the court or from the basket, and you just chuck it. But give credit to John Calipari, man. Without his star, he gets 17 from Malik Ewan, who was averaging 10 points a game? You know, he got a lot from Malik Thomas. If Malik Thomas stays another year, I'm not sure what Arkansas has in its recruiting class. But if Malik Thomas comes back, and let me be clear, I love ESPN. Your website is such garbage. I love Billy Richmond. I loved Billy Richmond last year. I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be such a pain in the butt for the next half decade. If both those guys come back, we're going to have some issues with Arkansas. Like they're going to be older, not normally a Cal thing, and they're going to be uber talented. So, and Furman hits it on a 3. So, other than that, I think that's all I'm going to talk about tonight. 35-ish minutes in. Talked about spring ball, talked some recruiting updates. Hopefully some more stuff happens this week just to get a little more energy into the broadcast as we go further into the off season. You can follow me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. Hear my insane ramblings. Next Monday we'll talk more about spring practice. Obviously, we're going to talk about some more recruiting notes as we are giving them, and then of course it's going to be tourney time for the Tigers. We'll talk about the baseball team. It's this time of the year is kind of just around the zoo. As we get closer to the summer, it'll be more time to focus on football. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I am footballed out. So it's hard for me to really bring the energy when it comes to football. But there's going to be more stuff to talk about next week, and hopefully more good recruiting news. And then we'll get on top of spring ball. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. And we will see you next week, and we'll talk about this Mizzou basketball tournament tournament lineup, and we'll talk about Mizzou football, and we'll talk about the baseball team and their series against Auburn. So thank you for tuning in. I will be back next week with a big show next week. Next week's going to be a big show. I'm not going to deny that. This week was an appetizer. Next week, big show, not just for football, but for all the sports at Mizzou. Thanks for tuning in, MIZ, and I will see you all next week. Go Tigers.